You're listening to This Week in the World of Football, which is coming to you from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. The purpose of this podcast is to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. The intent is to educate, inform, and entertain you, the listener, with the glorious buffet that is the world of football, while also keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. You can find this show on a multitude of podcast platforms as well as on YouTube. Timestamps are provided in the show description, so you can jump to the topics you really want to listen to. So without further ado, let's kick off this week's show.
Hello again, everyone. This is episode 396 for June 3rd, 2025, and I am your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, Travis and Jason Kelsey buy the GOATs, Bills quarterback Josh Allen gets married, and the playoffs are set in the National Arena League. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is my son Adam.
There's something there we probably could have used in your little intro. Instead of saying the Bills, you could have said Buffalo. Then we would have buffaloes and goats. And I don't know if we could have added a third thing. It could have been like a more synergetic introduction there for you.
Well, when you do more than just walk in and expect to have everything done for us to record, yeah, we can do that.
This is what ChatGPT can do for you, Randy, okay? Other than making fun graphics for a arena football video.
Can it replace me on the show?
It might be able to. ChatGPT,
don't tempt me.
write me a script for This Week in the World of Football. It probably would do it.
I would like to see what it comes up with sometime.
I would too, actually. You know what? I'm going to take some of these scripts and just throw them into the generator and see what it does.
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, man, we could replace Randy, everybody. You know how much money that would save this?
Until one of us gets replaced by a computer. Let's start with this week's show.
Wait, who's more replaceable, me or you?
I'd say you.
Oh, woof.
But you would say me.
That question.
Not only do we have this weekly podcast, but we also make YouTube videos. We currently have over 550 videos on our YouTube channel, with the newest being our AF1 Week 12 recap that we just recorded last night.
Yeah.
And you had that up before you went to bed last night.
Yep.
And then for upcoming videos, we've got our AF1 Week 13, which we will record next week after this weekend's games are played.
And we'll probably end up doing, despite us not really committing to it, it sounds like we just might have a CFL Week 1 recap as well. We were discussing that before the show, and we're going to try.
Last year we put a lot of work into our show last year. We had highlights, we did stats on every game. It was very in-depth. It was a lot of work. I mean, it was great. It came out really good. Okay. I enjoyed doing it, but to do it again this year, I don't think I have the energy to do that. I think we found in that format.
Yeah, I think we found our stride kind of with this AF1. We've kind of nailed down what we need to do.
Right.
We kind of got that down. So
make it a quick in and out, 10 minutes, talk about the games.
And, be done. We don't need all the fancy highlights. If you watch the games, you'll know.
Yep.
And you know where to find them. So that's our plan right now. If you have a suggestion, leave it in the comments. Send us an email. You know how to get a hold of us, everybody. Randy always talks about the ways to get a hold of us, so just do that.
I mean, I love the CFL. I'm going to try and watch as much as I can, and if we can talk about it after every week and just talk about the games and make it a quick in and out, I'd be into that.
Yeah, but I'm very excited for this season. Starts up this Thursday. Can you believe it?
I know it, man. Oh, man. That's right. It is Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whew. CFL season is here. I can feel the cold winds from the north starting to blow down already from Canada.
It is?
No, actually, today's the hottest day we've had.
I was going to say, it said 88 degrees in my car. I was like, dang.
Yeah, it is very warm here in Michigan today. But still, Canadian football is on the horizon, and we love it, and can't wait for it to get here. All right, let's begin our weekly tour around the world of football. And we're going to start off this week with scores from Arena Football 1, as we have been doing for the last 12 weeks. And this is our recap of Week 12 scores. Let's see, on Saturday it was the Salina Liberty defeating the Washington Wolfpack by the score of 71-4. That is not two safeties for Washington. That was a 4-point drop kick.
Yep, with 10 minutes and some change left in the first quarter, which means they didn't score a single point after that.
Oh my gosh.
What a terrible... I mean, what can you say about the Wolfpack? They do so much else right, it seems like. It seems like they got great social media presence. They get fans to their games, it looks like. They got great uniforms. They got great helmets. Sell me a mini helmet. Washington, come on. Stop being stingy with that. But, like, the product on the field has been tough to watch. They've had flashes where it seemed like they put stuff together and it worked, and then they go in the opposite direction the next week, whether it's play calling, player personnel. No offense to that kicker. What's his name? Did you write that down?
Higuera? Manny Higuera?
Yeah, like, nothing against him. The Wolfpack need a real kicker. I'm sorry.
He's the only highlight they have up there lately.
It is definitely not. He's probably the nicest, sweetest man in the world. But they needed next year. You got to get an actual kicker. I'm sorry. They need a whole lot of work. I mean, they got the one stud defensive lineman I like, and that's about it. That team is in a world of hurt. And the end of the season can't come soon enough. And you know what team they got on their horizon? Because I think they have a bye this week. They got the Firebirds as their last game of the season.
Ooh, no.
That's not going to go great.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so, I mean, this game was 37-4 at halftime. It was just all Salina. And what a comeback by Salina. You know, they were 0-4 to start the season. And, you know, here they are. We'll talk about standings and playoffs in a little bit. But Salina looking at possibly getting into the playoffs after an 0-4 start. Good for them.
Yeah, I'm trying to look something up on my phone here real quick.
I was trying to stall for you.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to look up our. I couldn't remember if it was Facebook or Twitter, but on one of these I posted something, and I don't know if you saw this or not.
What was it?
Oh, here we go. There's a new team coming to the American Women's Football League. A new team in Michigan, and they're going to be called the Southwest Michigan or Southern Michigan Wolves.
Uh-huh.
You haven't seen that?
I haven't seen it. No,
Okay.
What is this? What does this have to do with AF1?
Check out their logo.
Uh-oh.
Is that or is that not the Washington Wolfpack logo?
It is eerily similar. It is, but it's not the same.
Right. But I mean, it's
What-
almost got the same kind of color combinations. You know, the kind of like teal, green, and purple.
Yeah,
But as soon as I saw that, that's why I posted it, because I wanted to remember this.
Okay, I'm going to send this to me.
It's on our Facebook page,
Well,
World of Football Facebook
guess
page.
what? I'm just going to send myself a link to it, and we're going to be done. All right.
I thought that was interesting.
Okay, what a weird, didn't see that sidetrack coming. Anything else from this game you want to tackle before we move on?
No,
Okay.
I think you covered just about everything. It was a real beatdown.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on to the next game, which was the Vice game. Billings Outlaws over the Oregon Lightning, 58-7. This was not much of a contest either. I think Billings was up 29-7 at halftime and shut out the Lightning in the second half. You know, again, this is the Billings team we thought we were going to be seeing all season long. You know, they're going to be playing Oregon twice in the last 3 weeks of the season. So, you know, I said before, whichever team can win those two games, you know, against each other would probably wind up with a playoff spot. But I don't even know if that's going to happen now. It's so tight for the playoffs.
It is. It's odd how dramatic the end of the season is actually going to play out. All these teams are so Jekyll and Hyde that we don't know week to week.
Right.
Like one week the Outlaws are world beaters, and then the next week they're, I don't know, acting like they got a tire blown off on the bus. I mean, then you got the Oregon Lightning who are the same way. One week they are electric and they are moving the ball down the field. Then all of a sudden it's like they don't remember how to handle a football properly. It's mind-boggling how, you know, some of these teams have been.
Yep.
But, you know, with this game in particular, you know, it was such a drubbing. And don't get me wrong, I like seeing points.
Right.
Billings put up points, and they got dudes. They got studs. You know, Darius Prince, one of the best arena receivers to ever play the game. Dude is just, I don't know how he does it. All these catches he makes over the wall.
Yeah.
Like, he's incredible. Like,
Yep.
I remember back in the day, I probably would have said the best receiver in all of arena football was probably Chris Jackson. Do you remember Chris Jackson?
Oh, yeah.
He was a Rampage player for a little bit.
Yeah, we got him from, was it Orlando?
Georgia.
Or was it Georgia?
I think
it was someplace down south, I
I
remember.
want to say we got him from the
I think
Georgia
you're right.
Force.
I think you're right.
And he was great.
Yes.
I mean, he was really great before he came to Grand Rapids. He didn't quite live up to the billing in Grand Rapids. He was still a good receiver.
Mm-hmm.
But, Darius Prince, though, something else. And I know back in the day, you had Hunky Cooper, and I'm sure I'm blanking on a few of these other great players that played over the years.
George LaFrance.
Yeah,
And,
but some of these guys that, but Darius Prince, though, has just, I don't think I've ever seen a guy just consistently catching the ball over the board like that and then still getting up.
Right.
He took a bad hit, too, during this game, I want to say, where he got smushed into the board and he was kind of slow getting up. And but evidently he was all good.
Touchdown Eddie Brown.
Oh, touchdown Eddie Brown. How can you forget him? He might be the only
Got a bobblehead. Want to see it? It's right over there.
Yeah, that might be the only argument you have between Darius Prince and touchdown Eddie Brown.
Well, those guys back in the day played both ways also.
Also true.
For a good
so
part
very
of their
different
careers,
game.
yeah.
But just in terms of the wide receiver side of it, just incredible.
Yep.
But the downside to this game, as much as I was pulling for Oregon to, make it a game, I had to turn this game off for the next game. Who would have thought that?
No, I enjoyed watching Billings
beat down
somebody.
I couldn't take it. I was like, all right, I get it, Billings. It's like that Simpsons meme where it's just like, stop it, they're dead already. Like, just move on.
Well, the one interesting thing from this game is that Billings quarterback Malik Henry was ejected. He tried to run around to the left side and score on a short yardage play, and he got stopped. And there was kind of a lot of pushing and shoving into the boards, and he didn't like the way somebody was doing it. One of the announcers said he took a swing at somebody. I didn't really see a swing, but he was a lot of pushing and shoving, and he kind of went down on the ground and he pulled a guy with him and ripped his helmet off. So he got ejected from the game. Malik Henry did. So they put in their backup quarterback, and he did just as well as Malik Henry. I think they both had 3 touchdowns in the game, and or maybe that was the other guy. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean they still went on to put up a lot of points. And win that game. So
yeah. I also want to mention, they wore their gunmetal gray uniforms last night.
Your favorites?
Look, as I said to Steven Titus, because he commented on your Facebook, Steven Titus, friend of the show. I don't even know if he listens to this podcast or he just watches our videos. Yeah. But Steven, if you're out there listening, like I said in my comment to you, look, they're a better looking gray uniform than the Lions. I'll give you that. But it'll be hard for me to not call them knockoff Lions. But hey, look, and also if they're going to win in them, by all means, keep
wearing them. Yep, absolutely.
So there's that. And also, I did check out, I was telling you before the show, I listened to his interview on the Shady Sports YouTube page. Yep. Those guys were asking him a lot of really interesting questions, and Steve gave a lot of very interesting answers. And in some cases, the more interesting answers were the ones that he avoided about league expansion. And clearly these guys are hearing about some team names and team locations that could be out there, but obviously Steve can't comment on that.
Right.
So just interesting. It was like about 25 or 30 minutes into their This Week in Indoor Football show. They did that like on Saturday morning or something like that. It was a good little interview. Some information I've heard, some I haven't. But, Steven Titus is always a great, honest, open interview. Yep. So anytime I see he's getting interviewed by somebody, I lock in. Friend of the show, what up, Steven? So,
he's not listening.
He's probably not listening to this. And if he is, hey, Steve, just a retweet and, sharing the link would help us out, buddy.
Quit sucking up. That's my job.
Oh, okay, Mr. Best Friend.
All right, is that it for that game?
That should be it for that game.
All right, let's move on to the other Sunday game. The Nashville Cats over the Corpus Christi Tritons, barely by the score of 44-39. Corpus Christi scored first. It was 12-12 at the end of the first quarter. So this was a tight game, back and forth all game long.
I mean, they had the lead at one point there at the end of the game.
Yeah, with 9 minutes to go, Corpus Christi had the lead 39-38 in this game. Nashville came back and it had a 44-39 lead with 1 minute to go, and then thanks to an interception of Corpus Christi, they were able to run out the clock and preserve that win. So that one went right down to the wire. And again, you didn't expect that from Corpus Christi, but that's what you got.
Yep, they will now be known as the Corpus Christi Tritons because they are back from the dead. Everybody, somehow, some way, this team, I don't get it. They redid that whole roster pretty much. Peyton, the new quarterback they got in there, played probably one of the better games of the weekend. Didn't throw 5 touchdowns, but he was efficient, and that whole Corpus Christi team gave a very good Cats team a run for their money.
Yeah.
And as we were kind of discussing with our buddy Tim, because I watched his show AF1 Fancast or Fanzone last night. I always mix up the name, but they were talking about that play, the play where the Cats player scored a touchdown, but he dropped the ball at the 1 yard line or at the goal line, and the ball apparently, since they called it a touchdown, they didn't review it. They didn't do anything. They didn't look to make sure that the ball crossed the plane, and apparently the ball rolled to the back of the end zone.
Yep.
Should have been a touchback for the Tritons, which would have taken a score off for Nashville, would have given Corpus Christi the ball. We could be talking about a Corpus Christi win.
Yeah.
But I mean, the officiating, has been fairly solid this year.
Yeah, not too many complaints.
But I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about in Corpus Christi specifically, a lot of issues with rules and replay. Excuse me, holy smokes! And I don't know. So that's something the league's going to have to really button up and get nailed down. But what a sign of life for Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
A team that we were just like, they're just going to fade into obscurity.
Right.
That 4th playoff spot they're hanging on to is just thanks to their great start, which it was.
Yeah.
But it's like they came to life knowing, oh crap, we're going to get knocked out of the playoffs. We better start playing for real now.
Yeah, and this game was in Corpus Christi, and,
Yeah.
and I guess that was their last home game for the season. I don't know if they've got 1 or 2 games left, but whatever they got, it's on the road. So that was their last game at home.
Yeah.
So good for them. Good for the home crowd, however big that was. I have no idea.
Yeah, I didn't see an exact number from that. So
Okay, so on by this week was the 2 best teams in the league, the ones who have clinched playoff spots: Southwest Kansas Storm and the Albany Firebirds.
And what do you think of the 2 teams they're sweating right now? I mean, if you had to guess, right? I'm not asking you to do your power rankings, even though that's a big thing on the Twitter sphere.
Yeah, I don't do power rankings.
I know you don't.
Who do I think are going to be the other 2 playoff teams?
As of right now, who should be the other 2?
Well,
I know there's.
Let me go through the standings, and then I'll tell you.
Okay.
All right, so in the number 1 spot, you've got the undefeated Albany Firebirds at 9-0. The Southwest Kansas Storm at 7-3. Those are your 2 playoff teams. There are two spots left. Right now, it's the Nashville Cats at 5-3 at number 3. And in the 4th spot, the Salina Liberty at 4-5, with the Billings Outlaws right behind them in the number 5 spot at 4-6. I don't know if those 2 teams are sweating anybody right now. I think they're just sitting back, fat, dumb, and happy. They're going to play whoever they get in the playoffs, and then they're expecting to move on to the arena championship game. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're really too worried. Albany, I know, is not worried. Who are they playing? They're playing Corpus Christi, or no?
They have another bye this week.
Another bye this week.
Yep, and then they end their season playing the Washington Wolfpack.
Yeah, so they're not worried about anybody. So.
Well, it depends on who they draw in the playoff. If you ask me right now, they're sweating playing Salina again. Salina would be a tough matchup for them. And I think they sweat Nashville a little bit. I think a couple things go the other direction. Nashville had Albany's number.
Yeah, they sure did. They should have won that game.
So, and Southwest Kansas has done nothing but improve the last several weeks.
Yeah.
So the play on the field for the top teams in the league has been a lot better the last half of the season. Like, Albany's been consistent. Southwest Kansas started off, they had some wins, but they weren't super impressive. But now they got a ball club there that's putting together some good wins. Nashville's got a solid defense, and they've got their quarterback. Culkamania is real. And then Salina, now that they're actually playing, like, they got a quarterback, and they actually are kind of playing arena football instead of indoor football. They've been doing really good. And then Billings finally kind of finding their identity a little bit. They just got to figure out that defense.
Yeah.
But then you can't count out Oregon, I guess, yet. Technically, Corpus Christi you can't even count out yet.
Yeah.
Who knows what can happen by the end of the year? I think the safe bet is to get to 500 or a game above 500 for
Right.
some of these teams. So Nashville's got to win. That's what the upcoming slate next week is going to be crucial.
Yeah, so running out the top or the standings, I stopped with Billings at 5. At the number 6 spot, it's Corpus Christi with a 3-5 record, followed by Oregon at 4-7, and finally Washington in the number 8 spot at a 2-9 record. They, I guess, have been officially eliminated from the playoffs. So everybody else is kind of still in play.
Yep.
All right, that's it for the Arena Football 1. Let's move on over to Adam, who's going to talk about the National Arena League.
Yeah, let's do that, guys. The National Arena League. It was week 13, the final week of the regular season for this league as they head into their postseason, which we'll get to in a second. But Saturday night, 3 matchups. The first being the Wheeling Miners taking care of the Columbus Lions 47-44 in a rematch from last week, where now this time the Miners got the best of the Lions. Then the other game being the Beaumont Renegades defeating the Shreveport Rougarou 63-12. Yikes, what a rough one that was. But then here you go, this matchup right here, playoff type game as the Omaha Beef narrowly beat the Colorado Spartans 35-34 to give the Spartans only their 3rd loss of the season. This is a matchup, it's noteworthy because we're going to talk about it again in a second. There were 2 teams on by the end of the year, that being the Idaho Horsemen and the Sioux City Bandits, and their season is done. So all taken care of. Now let's talk about the final standings, and then we'll talk about the playoff matchups. So your final standings after 13 weeks in the American Division. The top 2 teams make the playoffs. So that was the 8-1 Beaumont Renegades and the 5-4 Columbus Lions. Then on the outside, you had the 4-6 Wheeling Miners and the 3-6 Shreveport Rougarou. And I'll just mention that, there was a team called the Carolina Cobras that are now dormant that were 2-4 before they shut up shop. In the National Division, the Omaha Beef will be your number 1 spot there with an 8-1 record, and the Colorado Spartans at 7-3. Then you got the Idaho Horsemen, who finished the year at 3-5, and the Sioux City Bandits at 3-6. So your playoff matchups for the NAL playoffs, you're gonna have the Columbus Lions traveling to Beaumont to take on those Renegades, and then you got the Colorado Spartans taking on the Omaha Beef.
Now, when I put this together, I looked even again today at the NAL website. They do not have the playoff matchups in their social media or anything that I've seen yet. So I found an article at the beginning of the season that said it was going to be the top 2 teams in the 2 divisions that went to the playoffs. So those are the matchups. But last I knew, they didn't say, are these games going to be on Saturday? Is one going to be on Saturday and one on Sunday? What are the times? I saw nothing like that on their website. So
interesting. Yeah, and I'm on their X page right now, which they usually are pretty active with, but the last post was from 2 days ago.
Right.
So
So I'm assuming that those will be the matchups and that they will be played this weekend, in the first round of the playoffs, and the winners will go to the championship game. But I was not able to find anything on their official site that said that. So a little disappointed with that.
Yeah, it's something we always harp on here about the importance of your social media presence when you're one of these indoor leagues. It comes into play, we always determine whether or not we like a league or don't, just based on how easy it is to find their scores and schedule and all that. And look, they got their scores up. Good for you, NAL. But, knowing about your playoffs, which should be a very important thing for you, is a little concerning. So, I hope other leagues take note and, none of them, are as bad as this. So
hold that thought.
Uh-oh.
All right, we're going to move on now to the Indoor Football League.
What did they do on social media?
I'm not sure, but they had all their scores out there, so I've got all the scores.
So we're not talking about the Indoor
Football
League?
No, not the Indoor Football League.
Okay.
Let's see. They had a game. These were Week 11 scores from the IFL. On Thursday night, the Massachusetts Pirates defeated the Jacksonville Sharks 43-29. On Friday, they had 2 games. Quad City Steamwheelers defeated the Tulsa Oilers 31-27, and the Green Bay Blizzard defeated the Fishers Freight one more time, 55-39.
Yep, they're cursed.
Again, they still haven't won a game since we were there.
We cursed them.
We're sorry.
The moment we stepped
We're
on that
very
field,
sorry.
we cursed them.
Maybe we need to go back. Maybe they should invite us back because they won that game. So maybe if they invite us back,
Okay, hold on.
couple
I
of
see what
hot
you're trying to
dogs.
do. Yeah, if you guys put us in the front row with some hot dogs and I'll take another Fisher's Freight beer. Randy will take a Coke. We'll gladly show up just to see you guys win again.
I do feel bad because that was such a great evening there.
It was.
The whole arena and the fans and everything. They did everything perfect. I mean, top notch, that organization. But it sucks to see that they've lost so many in a row now. But anyway, on Saturday, it was the San Diego Strike Force over the Northern Arizona Wranglers, 35-32 in a pretty close game. Also on Saturday, it was the San Antonio Gunslingers over the Tucson Sugar Skulls, 48-28. And finally, the Vegas Nighthawks over the Arizona Rattlers, 52-37. Wow, that's kind of a shock there. And then on by, it was the Iowa Barnstormers and the Bay Area Panthers. So now looking at the standings in the IFL after Week 11. In the East, it's your Quad City Steamwheelers at 7-2, Green Bay Blizzard at 6-3, Tulsa Oilers at 6-3, Jacksonville Sharks at 6-3, Massachusetts Pirates at 3-5, Fisher's Freight at 2-7, so they've lost 7 in a row now, and the Iowa Barnstormers at 1-7. Then in the West, you've got the Arizona Wranglers at 7-2, Bay Area Panthers at 6-2, Vegas Nighthawks at 5-4, San Diego Strike Force at 5-4, Tucson Sugar Skulls at 3-5, San Antonio Gunslingers at 3-6, and the Northern Arizona Wranglers at 1-5. All right, let's move on to the UFL, where Adam is going to talk about the final week of the regular season.
Oh, another final week of a regular season. That's right, the United Football League. Another season's come and gone. 2 seasons in the books now. Now we got postseason to look forward to. And, what's tough is that they had their postseason all figured out a week or two ago.
2 weeks ago, I think.
And, so this week, I'm not going to lie, I didn't really pay much attention. I did sit down and watch the Michigan Panthers game on Saturday. Yep. But other than that, I didn't really get to catch a whole lot. I feel bad, but, let's talk about them. Friday, the St. Louis Battlehawks defeated the DC Defenders 13-8. I mean, that's going to be your rematch next week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe either team weren't really showing their hands. They knew they had to save it all for next week when the game counted.
Yeah, they get to play 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the tough thing. They got to figure this out. I don't know if expansion will help with this league and, this type of situation before the playoffs, but we'll have to wait and see. That's a whole different topic for a whole different show.
Yeah.
Then on Saturday, the Houston Roughnecks came into Detroit and defeated the Michigan Panthers 19-12. The Panthers started a different quarterback, Rocky Lombardi. But, the Panthers had a chance to win this at the end of the game.
Yes, they had the ball in the closing minutes.
Danny Etling, the other quarterback, I want to say, right? Did I say that right? Danny Etling?
I'm not sure.
I forget how you say his name. But he's the quarterback that was going with their starting quarterback, Bryce Perkins. They were kind of usually trading him in and out. But he was playing at the end of this game, threw an interception to kind of just end the game. There was some heated stuff between some players. So, I mean, it's not like these players weren't competing, but you could tell that the Panthers weren't too concerned about the loss.
Yeah.
Because they already got the playoff
It didn't
spot.
matter whether they won or not. But this was very reminiscent of the game against the Birmingham Stallions a few weeks ago where Michigan was down by a few points and they had the ball at the end and they just, I think both of these, I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I think last time it was a incomplete fourth down pass that ended their drive and lost the game. And was it an interception this time, or was
it was a bad interception?
Yeah, but either way, they had the ball. They could have scored. They could have won. Didn't quite happen.
Yeah. And they were also giving out those Jake Bates bobbleheads, which I'm upset I didn't get a chance to go out.
I know. I would have loved it. Did you see the video of him signing autographs for people? Because he was at the game,
Man.
and somebody was holding out one of the bobbleheads for him to sign, but he was doing T-shirts and footballs and stuff.
Man.
But he was there, being honored. And,
I'm really bummed. Sticking to work, making me work.
Yeah, you worked all weekend.
I did work all weekend. Hey, such is life sometimes.
You got
and
a
I do this
big
show.
Big paycheck coming over
Big
that.
paycheck. All right. Sunday saw the Arlington Renegades defeat the San Antonio Brahmas 23-6. And then also Sunday, the Birmingham Stallions defeated the Memphis Showboats 46-9. Birmingham
Memphis.
getting ready for the playoffs, everybody.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
All right, and your playoff. Oh, let's do the final standings, and then we'll talk about the playoff matchups. Your final standings sit as such: the top 2 teams in each division making it to the postseason. So in the XFL division, that'll be the 8-2 St. Louis Battlehawks and the 6-4 DC Defenders. And then, in the XFL division, also the Arlington Renegades ended their season at 5-5, and the San Antonio Brahmas were 1-9. In the USFL division, the Birmingham Stallions took the USFL division with a 7-3 record, followed by the 6-4 Michigan Panthers, the 5-5 Houston Roughnecks, and the 2-8 Memphis Showboats. So then this sets up for the playoff games this upcoming weekend. In the XFL division, we're going to see the DC Defenders travel to St. Louis to take on the Battlehawks. This should be a very good game.
Yep.
These teams it's going to be a slugfest. Both these games should be entertaining as heck.
Yes.
And we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. The Michigan Panthers, once again, will take on the Birmingham Stallions in the USFL playoff game. It is worth noting the Panthers have never beaten the Stallions since the revival of the USFL/UFL. So,
and I believe both of those games are on Sunday.
The 8th, yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So I didn't put that in my notes here, but yeah, they're both on Sunday.
Yep. All right, and with that, we're going to throw it over to Randy, who's brushing off his Spanish thesaurus, and is going to be talking to us about the LFA.
Yes. La Liga de Fútbol Americano Profesional. I get to say that once a week, and I just love doing that.
Love rolling those R's.
Week 5 scores from down in Mexico. 2 games on Saturday. The Mexicans improved to 5-0 with a win over the Raptors, 38-3. Also on Saturday, the Leaders over the Black Roosters, 10-9, a very close game there. On Sunday, it was the Archangels over the Kings, 26-16. And on Monday Night Football in the LFA, it was the Bears improving to 5-0, defeating the Dinos by the score of 31-17. Way to go, Bears, an expansion team this year that is doing great things down there.
The undefeated Osos.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing to do, is actually say their team name in Espanol. The Osos. That's a great name.
Like the Ocho?
Yeah, ESPN the Ocho. But no, this is the Osos. I don't know. It just rolls off the tongue really nicely.
Okay.
So good for them. I don't know the schedule for the LFA, but I mean that was week 5. So at some point, do the Bears and the Mexicans face off?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
2 undefeated teams. Let me know when that matchup is, because I'll have to get some popcorn for that one.
Yeah, with a few other leagues having their playoffs now, we'll probably start doing standings in the LFA. They might be about halfway through their season. I'm not sure.
It's usually a 10-week season, I want to say. I could be wrong,
games.
but
So, yeah, maybe next week we'll throw in the standings. But right now you got 2 undefeated teams, the Mexicans and the Bears, sitting atop everybody else in that league.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Oh, you got me. Oh, I swapped these things around, so I didn't.
that's fine. I can take over this one.
Okay.
Guys, we're going to jump across the pond and talk about the European League of Football. They're doing some great stuff over there. They had a lot of games this weekend. Saturday, you had a quadruple header, starting with the Prague Lions shutting out the Ferencváros Throners 40-0. Oh, my goodness. Big old bagel. But wait! That's not the only bagel this week. We got a couple bagels we're going to talk about. The Tirol Raiders.
Tyrol.
I always say it wrong.
I know, I did too.
Shut out the Cologne Centurions 68-0. It doesn't matter if I say your name wrong. You beat the other team by 68 points. Congratulations. Then on Saturday, the Stuttgart Surge defeated the Hamburg Sea Devils 53-13. Man, another beatdown. And then finally on Saturday, the Madrid Bravos got a nice win over the Helvetic Mercenaries. This was a fun game, 47-35. Then on Sunday, this was a triple header, which saw my Frankfurt Galaxy defeat the Paris Musketeers in a squeaker, 29-27. Randy's Nordic Storm remained undefeated by shutting out the Berlin Thunder 35-0. There's another bagel for y'all out there. Do you even eat bagels over there in Europe? Let me know.
I'm sure they do.
Maybe they do. Did they invent bagels? I don't know. Don't quote me on it. Anyway, then the Vienna Vikings, are also 3-0 after getting revenge against the Rhine Fire 12-7. That's right. That's a rematch of last season's championship game. The Vikings with the win. Good for them. Everybody likes a little revenge. So there you go there. And then on bye this week, the Verslaw Panthers and the Munich Ravens. And the Ravens are 2-0. So there's a few undefeated teams remaining in the ELF. their season's always so fun to keep track of. So.
Yeah, three undefeated teams, the Nordic Storm, Vienna Vikings, and Munich Ravens, and 3 shutouts this past week.
And not just shutouts, essentially blowouts. Anything over 20 points, that's a blowout.
Yeah.
So,
40-0, 68-0, and 35-0.
Geez, I don't want to do all that math and combine it together, but that's a lot of points to nothing.
All right, we're going to move on to the Women's Football Alliance. This was week 5, but I don't have week 5 scores.
What is going on?
They did not post them yet. Last week I didn't have any scores because they hadn't posted their scores yet, and I assumed that it had something to do with Memorial Day weekend. So so I kind of gave them a pass. So I got in there today, and I'm looking at the scores, and I'm like, oh, yeah, they got the scores up. And then I realized those are last week's scores, the week before this, that not from this past weekend. So here's the scores we missed last week, and we still don't have this week's scores up there yet. Let's see. Last week, the weekend of May 24th, it was the Grand Rapids Tidal Waves defeating the East Texas Valkyrie by the score of 28-8. Boy, I think that was a big win for Grand Rapids. I think they've been shut out in just about every other game this year. The Buffalo Blizzard defeated the New York Knockout 47-6. There's a couple of cool names there. And I love this name here. The Cedar Raptors shut out the Oklahoma Rage 47-0. So those were all scores from 2 weeks ago. Maybe next week we'll have this week's scores if they get them up. Who knows? Right. I just don't know. So I guess we're going to move on to the Arena League, Week 1. Did you want to do this one?
Yeah, let's do this. I do want to thank somebody real quick. I know you're going to have a little rant here, but we were tagged the other day in some of the final scores of the Arena League Week 1 action.
Really?
So I want to send a shout out to Mr. Football. That's right, Mr. Football on X. Thank you for tagging us and keeping us in the loop on what was happening with the Arena League. They had 3 games over the weekend, I believe.
Yes, they did.
So for their week 1 of their second season, and for those of you who don't know, they went from playing with 6 players last year to 7-on-7 football this year.
Right.
Tweaked some rules, and I will say this before we even talk about the games on the field, but the fields look great. Have you seen pictures?
Yes, it's very nice looking.
They got a nice
field.
presentation. The video quality was pretty decent on what little I was able to watch over the weekend. I just have a problem with the audio quality on the stream because it was on YouTube. Other than that, though, this league's got some promise, but we'll talk about some issues here in a second. But Friday night, the defending champion Duluth Harbor Monsters defeated the Iowa Woo 71-56. Duluth had to come back for this one. The Woo had a very nice lead, but the Harbor Monsters found a way to claw back into this one and get that victory. Very impressive for them. I know you're playing over on your phone.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with the commissioner's name.
It's
something Brown. Tim Brown.
Yeah, former NFL wide receiver.
Okay.
He's the commissioner of the league.
All right.
And then, let's see, I'm like losing my place. Then on Saturday, saw the Springfield Wise Guys defeat the Eau Claire Axemen 38-24. So, interesting game here. We talked last week about how the Eau Claire Axemen are now being run by the league.
They've been taken over by the league. Yep.
And we've got. I've seen somebody on X post a bunch of pictures. I guess they're working with the Wise Guys. Looks like a fun place. Looks like they got some great social media presence. Looks like they had a nice turnout for their first game of the year. So that was pretty cool. And did I already say the final score? Yeah, 38-24. Yep. And then finally on Saturday, the Ozarks Lunkers, the best name in this league, defeated the St. Joseph Goats 54-50 on a walk-off Hail Mary touchdown pass, which was quite the highlight. If you get a chance to find that one, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the only highlight I saw all weekend long until today. You know, they might have just posted some stuff while we've been recording here, but that was the only highlight I saw of any game over the weekend.
But yeah, so that was your week 1 action. And the one big news story before we get into something Randy wants to talk about, the company known as Garage Beer, who is owned by Travis and Jason Kelsey, have bought the St. Joseph Goats of the Arena League. Formerly, they were the KC Goats last year. They changed their name this year. So the Kelsey brothers are part owners of that Garage Beer brand, and they put out a fun statement. They even teased that they were buying a team, and there was a lot of speculation that it was a UFL team. I was even kind of thinking like, oh, well, maybe they're going to announce an expansion team, or at the end of the UFL season, maybe we're going to get a team over in Canton or something like that. That'd be cool. Then it turns out it's a team from the Arena League, the TAL. So interesting. I know a lot of people are just going to say that even we are guilty of putting them on the thumbnail. That is Travis and Jason buying the team, but it was their company that did it. What an interesting move, cool move, something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, well, in the press release that I read, there might have been more than one, I don't know, but from what I read, the company was talking with the league about a sponsorship, and the more they learned about the teams and whatnot, they decided they actually were going to buy one of the teams. So Travis and Kelsey, I guess, own 50% of the Garage Beer company. So when the company decided to buy the team, the Kelsey brothers became part owners of it. So it's not like, maybe it was misleading to say they bought the Goats, but the company that they own bought the Goats. So yeah, they bought the Goats. But that was kind of the big news last week. But I'll tell you,
here we go, everybody.
I have another rant.
Oh no, Randy's rants, everybody.
This goes out to the Arena League. I had to do so much searching to find your scores today. I looked on your social media sites. I looked on all the team sites, and I couldn't find the scores. One of the teams sent me to a New York Times article, or no, it was a Duluth. That was a Duluth article, but the headline indicated that they won the game, but you had to pay for it. So all I got was like the first two sentences of the article, and they said, if you want to know more, you got to pay. Well, I'm not paying for it. So I couldn't get the score. You know how I found the scores for today?
How?
I found it on a site called Our Sports Central. Now, that site's been around for a long time. I used to write for Our Sports Central many years ago when I was covering teams like the Battle Creek Crunch of the Great Lakes Indoor Football League and the Kalamazoo Explosion of the Continental Indoor Football League. So I'm very well familiar with Our Sports Central. I had to do some digging even there to find the scores, and I eventually did, but that is way too much work. Mr. Tim Brown, commissioner of this league, you're trying to promote this league as the premier arena league or indoor league, whatever. You are not. When you can't even find your scores on your own website or team sites 2 days, possibly 3 days after these games have been played, and no scores, no highlights anywhere, I'm sorry, that is not a Premier League. That's a joke. And so get your act together, because if I have to do this next week, if I have this much trouble getting your scores, we're not going to mention your scores next week because I'm not doing that much work. A real league has their scores and their highlights up within a day after the game. So I'm sorry, this is not a Premier League. This league needs to get their act together.
So I just put into Chat GPT, hey, can you give me the results of week 1 from the 2025 the Arena League season?
Uh-huh.
All the scores pop right up.
Really?
Yeah. I literally just typed it up. So we were talking before the show how Randy needs to somehow use Chat GPT to help him out. Right here you go. They can write your scores for you.
I'm sorry. I go to the official team website. I go to maybe the individual team social media sites. I found nothing on all those sites. I was getting very frustrated. No, I found the last score as you were walking in the door to record. This is also true. That is unacceptable.
What time did you? I want to see. It's currently 4:51 in the afternoon. You texted me at.
Oh, that was earlier this morning.
12:04.
Yeah.
That you couldn't find the scores.
And I was still looking, and I'm sweating it out because I couldn't find any scores. And I kept trying everything I knew, and it was just extremely difficult.
I'll give you that. Look, when you sent me that, I was like, there's no way. It's true.
Yeah. Normally, when I say I can't find something, you go right out and you find it in no time.
And I had problems with it. So, yeah, they clearly, their social media, like they were doing real good, like every day, like 3 days to the season.
Right.
2 days to the season,
right.
Everybody. 1 day to the season.
And 3 days after the season, nothing. You got nothing out there. Shame on you.
Yeah, they got to figure that out. Look, I am excited about the idea of the Arena League, what they could do, because it's so different. It's got a lot of potential for, and I like a lot of the teams, like the logos and merch and stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, if we can't find your scores that easily, like if you don't have a nice social media presence, that makes it easy for us to talk about and look it up without having to use Chat GPT. I could see us skipping this league. I mean, I want to have us sit down and do a video about our tier rankings for all these indoor leagues, because rinky dink is the term we always use for the leagues that can't get that simple aspect together.
They may be good, they may be bad, but you don't know because you can't find their information anywhere.
Yeah, and it just seems like a basic thing. Shoot, Randy's a 78-year-old man, and he's able to.
I'm not that old,
and he still manages to figure out Twitter every now and then. Even though it's called X, and he forgets that's the name of the social media platform, he still finds a way to retweet and tweet stuff out. Everybody, at 74,000 years old, he does this.
Is Ask Jeeves still a thing?
It's not.
That was my go-to.
That was
my go-to search engine.
Those were the
It was
days.
great. Oh man.
All right,
Where's Jeeves now?
Is
yes,
that it for the score
that's it for the.
I'm
this
surprised
week's
we made it
scoreboard.
this long.
How far are we?
We're
into the
45 minutes in.
Holy mackerel! Well, we better wrap this up quickly then. Here, let's talk about some more happenings in the world of football. Bills quarterback Josh Allen and actress/singer Haley Steinfeld got married last Saturday in Southern California. I hear her name all the time. I don't know any of her music.
You
I don't
never
know
seen any of the Pitch Perfect movies?
No.
My fiance made me sit down, and in a week I watched all 3 Pitch Perfect movies. Like
I'm sorry.
Look, all I'll say is this might be a hot take for some of you guys or gals out there listening. Pitch Perfect 2 is better than Pitch Perfect 1. I said it. Crucify me, throw me on the burning pile of fire. I don't care. Pitch Perfect 2 is better. They're okay. I had to keep. I don't know. She didn't like that I kept making fun of the movie, like watching it. And she's like, "Just shut up and enjoy it." I was like, "Well, I can't take this movie seriously when they use acapella puns." Like, I mean, Elizabeth Banks is in the movie. You probably would love her character, and it's not Fred Lillard. There's another guy who's like her counterpart, and they just like are like the announcers during these acapella competitions. For that alone, you should just check this movie out. I'll send you the clip. You'll enjoy that. Anyway, this isn't acapella. This week in the world of acapella. I wonder if that's a podcast, though. But no, look, Haley Steinfeld was in those movies. She was in 2 of the 3,
and she's done some movies or series.
Oh yeah, she's been in my favorite movie of the year,
Netflix or some streaming service.
That I'm not sure. She was in Hawkeye. You've watched the Marvel show Hawkeye?
Yeah.
She was Kate Bishop. Hawkeye is like assistant.
No.
Yeah, that's
her.
That's her.
I had no idea.
Yep, she's great in that.
I did like her in that.
She was great in Bumblebee. I liked that movie.
Didn't see that one.
That was a good one. Transformers. And then she was just in Sinners, which was
didn't see it.
The vampire movie. It's probably my favorite movie of the year. I know this ain't movie talk, but just throwing that out there. And Josh, the fact that they had a nice quiet wedding that I didn't even hear about till.
Yeah, I don't think anybody heard about
my
it.
My fiance told me, "Hey, did you hear they got married?"
Until it was
no
afterwards.
idea.
So it was probably like Saturday night, and
for them.
the next day they posted some pictures. Looked
Good
very
for them.
nice. So
Keep it nice and
congratulations, congratulations. Yep, keep your private life private for as long as you can, because people will be trying to find out everything they can about you.
True that.
Okay, another NFL story. Lions center Frank Ragnow suddenly retires. I guess they're in the middle of their OTAs right now, and he decided at the age of 29 and 7 NFL seasons that it's time for him to retire. That was a shock. That was an absolute shock.
Was a shock.
He's been awesome the last 7 years.
He's been great.
And,
4 Pro Bowls.
But we did draft a center this year, and we had another center.
They got some
so
guys.
I think they kind of knew this was coming. The team did.
Maybe I'm sure they always got. I mean, they've been focused on offensive line depth, guys that could fill in.
Right,
whenever.
that's their bread and butter is the offensive line.
I think not that they were prepared for this specifically, but I think they were always prepared for injury or for whatever.
Yeah, they needed depth at all positions.
Is he going to be tough to replace? Absolutely. This dude once had a fractured throat. Remember that when he
I vaguely remember something.
He
about that.
had a fractured throat and he played through that. This dude is tough as nails, but even he had to be like, look, I just can't take it.
Right.
My health is a priority, and I don't blame him.
No, I don't. I don't.
I'm
blame
not
him.
mad.
I don't blame anybody, especially linemen, for calling it a career, short. But somebody posted something that said, "Oh, come on, Ragnar, we were so close." Like if you stuck around one more year, you might have got a Super Bowl title.
It is unfortunate, but this is the nature of the business.
But your health comes first.
It does come first, and let's all remember, the Eagles lost an All-Pro Bowl center last year, and what'd they do the next year? Oh, they just replaced him. Oh, they just won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
I'm not saying that's going to happen to Detroit, but I'm just, I'm not saying these guys come and go. They're not all completely replaceable. Like, yeah, nobody's going to play to the level Frank Ragnow played, but they could be adequate enough to still hold that line together. And they got a good group of dudes on that offensive line. I'm not super worried about it yet. As much as Bear fans have already been saying, hey, you guys are crumbling right before our eyes. I'm like, shut up, Bears fans. Like, why don't you guys win a football game first before you start talking smack? Anyway, like, good for Frank, at least admitting, like, hey,
right,
time to call it a career. I got other stuff. Health comes first. Now I want to see his hunting channel, whatever it is he does, thrive.
That's right. He's big into that, isn't he?
Yeah. And I know you don't have a college story, but I'm going to transition you into the college because you forgot to put this down.
Okay.
That on Barstool Sports, John Gruden has been over there doing content for them. He's actually been pretty fun to watch over there. And some trend, I don't know how it started, has been universities sending him boxes of merch.
T-shirts,
hats, whatever, something from the university. And behold my surprise this week when you retweet something about
Didn't we talk about this last week?
I don't think we did.
Okay, that's probably why I didn't put it in there.
Yeah. So he opened up a box from Western Michigan University, had a nice little 6-minute video talking about Western, talking about all these players that played there, just talking about the team in general, the head coach and all of that.
Yep.
It was a lot of fun, and you even had to comment. And
yes,
say, sir, Mr. Gruden. Mr. Football Expert, Mr. Super Bowl winner, us here at the World of Football have to point out that you missed somebody. Way to go, Randy.
Yeah, Ralph Holley from Western Michigan was playing with the Toronto Argonauts last year, and we saw him in that championship game. He had a great game, and so he's a CFL Grey Cup champion, and now he's with the Cleveland Browns. And I pointed that out, and just in one of the comments, a lot of people were commenting on this and that, Western Michigan fans, and he responded to my comment.
Yes, he did.
And he liked it and said something about, good call, thank you. And then he started following the World of Football.
There we go, everybody. We've made it. John Gruden.
Oh, the big time is right around the corner for us now.
When will he be on our show? We can't guarantee that, everybody. Stop banging down the door asking us when it's going to happen. John, you can come on anytime you want, good sir.
Do you need us to send you a box of World of Football stuff?
Randy, we don't have stuff ready for him to go. Just send him the link to the TeePublic site.
Let him buy his own stuff?
He can buy his own stuff.
Oh, okay. If he requested it, I would send him some stuff. Coffee mug, a hat, T-shirt, maybe a keychain or a mouse pad, something.
If I'm not too careful, he might even offer him a co-host position on This Week in the World of Football. So
nobody's irreplaceable. All right. Well, let's move on. Today's birthdays and anniversaries. This is for June 3rd. Linebacker Sam Mills, born on this date in 1959. He passed away in 2005 at the young age of 45. He played his college football at Division III Montclair State, and he played in the USFL for the Birmingham Stars and the Baltimore Stars from 1983 to 1985. Then he jumped to the NFL, where he played for the New Orleans Saints from 1986 to 1994, and with the Carolina Panthers from 1995 to 1997. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2022, and today he has a statue outside of Panthers Stadium. And I remember watching Sam Mills play in the old USFL in the 80s. He was awesome. Kind of an undersized linebacker, but boy, was he good. And he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and just a great player, and tragically gone at an early age. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about some obituaries. This is where we take a moment and honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first obituary is that of Ralph Heck, a linebacker in the NFL for 9 seasons, has passed away at the age of 83. Heck played college football at Colorado and was selected in the 11th round of the 1963 NFL Draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. He played for the Eagles from 1963 to 1965. Then he went on to play for the Atlanta Falcons from 1966 to 68, and he finished his career with the New York Giants from 69 to 1971.
And our final obituary this week is a tongue twister. That is Len St. John, a guard in the NFL and the American Football League for 10 seasons, has passed away at the age of 83. St. John played college football at Northern Michigan and was selected in the 17th round of the 1964 NFL Draft by the Green Bay Packers. He was also selected in the 9th round of the 1964 American Football League Draft by the Boston Patriots. He signed with the Patriots and played for the team from 1964 to 1970. He played for the New England Patriots from 1971 to 1973.
All right, looking at our upcoming events calendar. This Thursday, June 5th, the CFL regular season begins with a game with the Ottawa Red Blacks traveling to Saskatchewan to take on the Rough Riders at 9 p.m. So get your CFL Plus ready for that. I think they're going to be on CBS Sports again this year. Yep. So I always enjoy watching those on regular TV. You can catch them all, and they do a great highlight package. If you miss the games, you just go to CFL.ca, and all the highlights are there.
We gush about them every year.
8 to 10 minutes, and you've got all the great highlights.
And they make it feel like, not that you've watched the whole game, but you at least get a good sense of the pace and the how the game kind of flowed. That was something this week I didn't bring up when talking about the European League of Football. I was watching highlights, and in one of the games there was a touchdown, and they just move along to the next highlight, and the score didn't change. So I was like, did that touchdown not count? Why was there no explanation for it? Somebody in the comments, I guess it does sound like that they do use AI to put their highlights together. So like that context was lost. It would be nice to have that context in there. The CFL does that. I feel like they have a real editor that sits there and like
I hope so.
Gives you a nice. It gives you a 18-minute or whatever, however long those packages are.
8 to 10 minutes.
8 to 10 minutes, sometimes 15, depending on the game. It gives you a good sense of how did this game flow.
Yep.
And that's really hard to do. I mean, obviously the NFL's got that down. CFL's got it down too. The AF1's starting to get that down. Not going to lie, I haven't caught a whole lot of indoor football highlights, but I would assume they have a guy that does that, and it's not just AI. So we appreciate the hardworking editors out there that put those together.
Yes. It makes our job a lot easier. Okay, Saturday, June 14th, the UFL Championship game will be played in St. Louis.
And for the record, my fiance did give me, I won't say she gave me permission, but if the Panthers end up in that game, you better hop on and make plans real fast.
Really?
I'm just going to say that.
Well, we've been to St. Louis before. We know how to get to the stadium.
I'm just saying, if it's something that really is a possibility, you're going to have to jump on it. Otherwise, I'll have to cancel a guys' night. I have a buddy. We're going to make steaks, and we're having a guys' night. I'm just saying my schedule got opened up that Saturday. So
guys' night has been moved to St. Louis this
I
weekend.
wonder if he'd go. I'd ask him. There and back in a night?
Yeah.
That'd be a rough trip.
We'll see. Let's see. The weekend of June 27th, the Arena Football 1 Championship game, whatever they're going to call that. And we discussed that quite a bit on our video about the AF1.
Oh, yeah, we did. Came up with a lot of great names there. I think my personal favorite is...
A lot of names, a few good names.
The AF1 Flew Over the Firebird's Nest is probably my favorite championship game.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Or what was the other one? It was the AF1 Championship to Rule Them All. That's right.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Anyway, that takes place the weekend of the 27th of June. Let's see, Tuesday, July 1st is going to be our 400th episode of this show, and we're going to do it live
everybody,
at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to see a train wreck,
choo-choo,
tune in. This way to the train wreck.
There will be guests. There will be contests. Well, maybe one contest, singular.
Right.
But we're going to try to have a fun evening, just talking football, kind of doing this show, but we're going to have some guests on there. You probably know who those are going to be. We'll make a post saying who's going to join us because we got a bunch of confirmations. Mm-hmm. I don't think we've reached out to anybody else. Everybody we asked said yes.
Right.
So we should be sitting pretty. It's just a matter of getting to the event at this point. 4 weeks away.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything pop up on your cell phone before we close the show out?
I don't see anything. I think we're good to go.
Okay. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. Don't forget to check out our World of Football merchandise at tpublic.com for the latest in football-related t-shirts, hats, mugs, and more from our merch store. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us guys sitting here in Kalamazoo talking about football. Join us again next week when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. And until then, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow.
And we'll see you all again next week.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this installment of This Week in the World of Football. New episodes of the podcast are posted every Tuesday and can be found wherever good podcasts are found. You can find the World of Football on Facebook, Instagram, and X by searching for TWOF Kalamazoo or using the links down in the episode description. Head on over to YouTube and subscribe to the World of Football for more fun football-related content. Just search for the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle @the World of Football. Thanks for listening and hope to see you again next time.